Hello there, good evening, and welcome to Beer Blather 135. Look what I can do, which, to judge by our meme, uh, I think I just won the burping competition. But we're right, yeah.
The undersea burping
The under burping competition. I'm Saul Montes-Bradley, the largest human repository of useless information, and right next to me, from California, Thomas Wictor, the only living expert in World War One flamethrowers and so many more things. And of course, I'm still in Florida while trees are falling all around my house in Virginia. I just got pictures today.
Wow.
Boy, do I have a cleanup next week, Thomas. So it was a ginormous oak tree. And it was a huge trunk, and then it separated into two trunks. And one fell one side and the other one another, like a lightning struck down the middle or something.
Is this from the wind or from the water?
Wind. We're talking Virginia, it's all wind.
Wow.
And maybe, little tornadoes or lightning. We have a lot of that. Several of my trees were killed by lightning over the years. Another day in the country. Now I have more firewood, which comes just in time to replace all the carbon that Tesla is depriving us of so that the plants can remain happy. And I'm going to have a warm tuches throughout winter, and my bill hasn't gone up.
I don't have a fire. Well, I do have a fireplace, but I think the ceiling's blocked up. But my electric bill is doubled, and it's still going up. And California gas prices are going up again. So we're gonna have a fun winter.
Yeah. You're gonna have a lovely winter because right now I know in some places gas in California is like $6.70 or thereabouts.
It's going to go up to $8 easily.
Down here is $3.20. and there are two reasons for these. One of them is definitely California's own self-inflicted wound. You guys have a unique blend with low sulfur or no sulfur. That means that you cannot buy gas from distilleries in Florida or Pennsylvania. And what happens at the end of driving season? They close down for maintenance.
Yeah.
So that they don't go kaboom in the middle of the night. And of course, two very large refineries, one in Ohio and the other one in Pennsylvania, have recently gone kablunki, and that affects the Midwest and California. So you're going to have very high gas prices in the Midwest and California and low prices in Florida. You're welcome to move here anytime, my friend.
Well, okay. I got caught in a tornado in the middle of Nebraska several years ago, and I'd never been in a tornado. And it started with rain, and the rain was so heavy that my windshield wiper did nothing. It was like I didn't even have them. Then the lightning started, and the lightning was permanent white bolts from horizon to horizon. It wasn't kid-a-little boom, kid-a-little boom. It was I mean, just constant. Then I had the radio on, and all of a sudden this horrifying electronic screech came out, and a recording said, take shelter, tornado coming. So I was out in the middle of a Nebraska field on the freeway, and I saw a little building, and I went to it, and it was a restaurant. And when I get out of my car, there were little tiny frogs falling out of the sky. It was an actual frog fall. I made my way through the frogs, and I went inside, and there was a young cowboy sitting right next to the window with his feet up on the table, his boots and his hat. And I said, where's the storm bit cellar? He said, there ain't one. I said, then what do we do if a tornado hits? And he says, we die. It's like, wonderful. And the restaurant was run by two Iraqi immigrants who were just like, and I could tell what they were thinking. We should have stayed in Baghdad. So we didn't actually see the tornado because it was huge. It was one of those 5 mile wide ones. And so I associate tornadoes with hurricanes. So I'll take my chance.
Yeah, you should.
I'll take my chances with Gavin Newsom and the earthquakes rather than face the nightmare of losing absolutely everything I own due to wind. You know, the only way I would move to the Midwest or Florida would be if I had a windproof house. It was like a teardrop shaped house on the ground made of concrete.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be. They have those concrete round houses, but it doesn't need to be that. The damage that we have seen, for instance, now in the west coast of Florida, all of the old houses in Fort Myers went kablunk. They're not there anymore. Thank you very much. Good luck trying to find them. The new houses and the apartment buildings, not a fucking scratch. Because the modern construction techniques allow you to. I'm here in this apartment. I have windows, and I'm on an 18th floor. I have windows that can withstand a 4x4 at 70 miles an hour. And the reason they make them so strict is because when there is a tornado, shit flies all over the fucking place. But you know. I'm dry and nice. The worst thing that I could face is an outage. And look at the West Coast. I mean, the force of the hurricane left 2 million people without electricity. In 24 hours, 1 million had electricity back, including Dennis, one of our members. And by over the next 2 days or so, everybody's going to have electricity back. I mean, it's amazing how quickly we bounce back. And, you know, if you ever decide to come here, do not buy a wooden shack at the beach.
No. I mean, we used to stay on Sanibel Island every summer in a place called Hurricane House. And
I know.
Hurricane House was essentially built of fruit crates, you know. It was I had no idea at the time, because I was a little kid. I had no idea just how crazy it was to and the owners, the Kearns lived right next to the rental structures. And I mean, I loved it. I loved Miami. I loved Sanibel Island. But I would never live on any beach anywhere. I mean, I read that at its highest, the storm surge in Florida was 18 feet.
Yeah, that was in Fort Myers. It covered up the palm trees. You had, I saw videos of the damn thing, and you have the water coming in and going over the top of the tall royal palms.
Yeah.
It's like, holy fudge.
Yeah. No,
And yeah, it happens.
Sharks swimming it down the street, sharks in people's houses.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
I have to tell you, I never saw a shark swimming down the street, but I saw catfish.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I remember during one of those storms, I was going up Biscayne Boulevard trying to get north. It was a tropical storm, not a hurricane. And there is somewhere around 120th Street, a canal that crosses Biscayne Boulevard, and there is like a tiny bridge over the canal. I had to get off the to figure out where the fuck the bridge was because I couldn't see it. And as completely underwater. The canal had gone up and everything was covered with water, and I was in a tall van treading water like a boat. And as I come out, there are these huge catfish swimming by my car, and I say, "Fuck! I, I'm racing catfish on the street." Yeah, that's Florida.
Yeah, no, I love the idea of Florida. I would go to Florida if I were a little kid again with parents who took care of business.
Mm.
Um, we used to go to the Orange Blossom. You know, I lived in Venezuela at the time, and in Venezuela, you couldn't get anything American. So when we would come to Florida, we would experience American things, and this was 67. Let's see, I was born in
Yeah,
62. So this was 68, 69, 70, 70.
69.
That's when we did that. And so we went to the Orange Blossom Hobby Shop to buy model airplane kits because those weren't for sale in Venezuela. We
Yeah.
went to Howard Johnson's to eat burgers. We stayed in the Columbus Hotel, which was a hotel from the 1930s, and we got room service. And to little kids, room service, they wheeled these trolleys in, and the trolleys had white linen covers, and each plate had its own round metal. It wasn't round. It was a kind of it was a covering that had a hole in it for the steam to come out, and you put your finger in the hole and lift the cover off, and it was just really exotic. And I always think of Miami as being exotic, and every now and then I see, what the Columbus is long gone, and Miami.
I remember the Columbus. That was on Biscayne Boulevard across the street from where they built that mall and marina. And now you wouldn't recognize the area. There's a stadium. There is an opera house. It's unbelievable how that area has been overbuilt in the past 20 years or so.
Do you know if the Fontainebleau Hotel is still there?
Oh yeah, it is. It is not the one that you knew in the
In the
60s.
Yeah.
I used to go with my parents to the Fontainebleau, to the old one.
Yep.
And now it's a more modern hotel. It is still there, and it is still one of the great hotels in Miami.
Yeah. No, I have no real idea. The last place from my childhood I revisited was Tyler, Texas, which I lived there from 72 to 75, and I visited in 2001, and I didn't recognize anything. I may as well have been in, New Orleans, Louisiana. I found our house, but they planted this giant row of trees in front of it, and it was just like, why am I here? So I just left, and I don't have any desire to revisit places that I went to. Is it like I used to love London, but I have no desire to go back there. I used to love Paris, but I have no desire.
I still do. Well, Paris, I have no desire to go back either.
Yeah,
But London, I was just there 2 weeks ago.
right.
Flash trip. Too fast. I'm getting too old for this shit. But it still got it, man. And I was at Regent's Park of all places. I had to go to a meeting on Portland Street, and that's right next to Regent's Park. And that area it seems as if not even the tree leaves have changed.
Sure. No,
It's really nice. Some things in life have to be constant.
if wokeness eventually dies, then I'll go visit some of these places again. And who knows? Europeans generally don't have much of a sense of self-preservation, but
No.
we may see, as Sarah Palin used to call it, a restoration. We're definitely going to have one in this country.
Oh yeah.
Dr. Oz has now overtaken John Fetterwoman in Pennsylvania. Fetterwoman's his support is like basically just dropped out from under him, and
Yeah.
I think there were
I mean, you only have to look at the son of a bitch.
exactly. There's like 8. Is it 8 Senate seats up for grabs?
Yes.
And
Let me put it this way: all things being equal, it is beginning to look like the Republicans are going to end up with at least 52.
exactly. So, and you know, we may be on our way to a restoration. It's not going to happen overnight.
No.
But it'll happen much faster than anybody realizes. I mean,
what if I told you that this crazy period we're living with is part of the process of restoration?
of course, Americans.
That it started before, that now these guys have gone completely off their rockers and are on a trip of self-destruction because they believe that only by being more extreme they can salvage the ship. And what they're doing is drilling holes at the bottom of the ship.
Well, this is the thing. I don't watch Netflix, but they have a series. I don't know if it's. I think it's connected to Game of Thrones, and the lead is a non-binary, not the character, but the person playing it is a non-binary, genetically female entity, and this entity loves playing women because its pronouns are they play women really well. This is a woman. This is a biological woman playing a woman.
Yeah.
And spouting off about how she isn't really a woman, she's something else, but she can play a woman. And it's just like, how did this happen? One of the most profound scenes in a movie is from Soylent Green, where Charlton Heston, in the future, police, when they visit when police visit a murder scene, by law they're allowed to loot the scene. So Charlton Heston goes to this rich man's apartment and he takes as much food and booze as he wants, and then he goes home to his apartment. And in the future, every police officer has what's known as a book living with them, which is an old person who can read books, because most people in the future can't read. And Edward G. Robinson is playing Heston's book, and Heston lays out all the goodies, vegetables, steak, and finally bourbon. And initially Robinson's face, this is Robinson's last movie, his face lights up. He's like, bourbon? I haven't seen bourbon in 30 years. And he goes, wait, just wait. And he shows him the beefsteak. And Robinson starts crying and he goes, how did we come to this? And you know, he's not overjoyed. He's so sad that he's overjoyed by the sight of food that used to be readily available, you know?
Yes.
And I think of that a lot. How did we come to this? How did we come to a young woman bragging about how she can play women really well when she is a woman, and we're supposed to pretend that she's something different? She's a non-binary entity. Right? I mean, come on, you're a woman. Stop playing.
I don't know. The whole thing is what really bothers me is that some of these things have always been with us. But we're talking about less than 1% of the population. Most people didn't come across them. I had an employee in Argentina who was a hermaphrodite. He was physically both a man and a woman.
Yeah.
And he was a little bit under my protection because the those ignorant assholes down there used to pick on the poor son of a bitch constantly, because he was definitely different and kind of weird. Um, and my natural instinct was to offer this creature sanctuary. It's a person we're talking about. What the fuck? And but most people had never seen one. Now they're trying to mainstream it. They're trying to convince us that half the population is like that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it isn't.
No, no, it's not. It's a fraction of a single percentile. And
Yeah,
if you
and they're trying to make it up. Like 7-8% of the population may be trans. Are you fucking kidding me?
yeah, children, 80% of children identify as non-binary, and it's like, how old are these kids?
Well,
And
I would say that before puberty they are non-binary.
well, it's okay. I told you a story before we went on the air, and we both agreed that
Yes.
this was a case of getting as much as you can before the spigot is turned off. And
Yes.
I think that's what's happening now with all this wild, crazy leftist woke insanity, is that they feel like all the videos you see of animals running to higher ground before the tsunami hits or whatever. All these people, they sense something in the wind. They sense that something wicked this way comes, and they're trying to get as much as they can before the spigot is turned off. And
and it's happening everywhere,
everywhere.
Not just in the US.
No.
And this is the moment when these assholes doubling up on global warming pseudoscience are going to get fucked. They're going to look back at this as the moment of exaggeration that turned off public opinion against them.
Yeah.
And I think that throughout this winter, in some places it's going to be worse than in others. I got a notice that my electrical bill is going up $15 per month in Virginia. Boo hoo, like I give a shit. That's not a problem. But people in Spain are paying electrical bills that are twice as much, not $15 more. In Holland, it's up to 300% up. There are bakeries that have closed because they cannot sell bread at the price that they would have to in order to pay for the fucking ovens. This is going to create scarcity. This is going to create hardship. And people are justly going to blame, however much we want to blame Russia, people are justly going to blame all of these green fuckers who closed down nuclear power stations that were perfectly fine, who closed down coal stations that were perfectly fine, with technologies that, if that were a problem, can reduce emissions to near zero. And they're going to blame these assholes, and they're going to go back to an all of the above, and you stick your Tesla up your ass and give me my V8. It's going to happen.
Are we still on YouTube?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Let me, just again, thank you, because I think you've stopped me just in time.
Yeah.
We did start in YouTube as well. Just to let our viewers in YouTube, where we have thousands, folks, we've been telling you, come over to Odysee. Even in the 10 minutes that we usually dedicate to these openings in YouTube, anything we say can and will be used against us, and that channel is going to disappear.
This time especially. I forgot.
Right. So we're not special. And now we want to keep talking about the health of whales and the multiple uses for hydrocarbons. And my burp, let me see. There you go. Can I burp or what?
Yep.
That was a gassy burp.
Yep.
And we are going to certainly offend the sensibilities of some of these good boys and girls in YouBoob that are looking for whatever excuse they can find to close people like us down. So, with that, please come to Odysee. This is where the fun is. And I'm going to take a minute off after I'm done with this so I can put a link to our Odysee stream in YouBoob so that people can link on it. And this is it for the YouBoob session. Goodbye, YouBoob. See you next time. And now, Thomas, we're no longer